Sir Ian McKellen, welcome. I didn't call you that last time I met you.
No, you needn't call it me now, but...
It's a problem for Americans because we're a little flummoxed by titles and so on. And I heard a gentleman once refer to Sir Gielgud all through an interview with the gentleman he was referring to. So we find it hard sometimes.
Well, Sir Ian, Mr. McKellen.
Yeah.
The convention in the theatre itself is that you don't use the title, so I'm Mr. most of my life still.
No ad ever said with Sir Laurence Olivier, did it?
Not, no.
Yeah. Now we have Sir John Gielgud, Sir Ralph Richardson, Sir Peter O'Toole, I believe. No. But there was Sir Noël Coward, Sir Laurence Olivier, and I must confess, I'm a little tired of this. What's wrong with American actors?
Well, you have to be British for a start, and you have, on the whole, to have spent most of your life earning no money at all at the behest of the nation, not gallivanting off to Hollywood to make a lot of money and be very famous. That is reward in itself.
Oh, so that's why there was no Sir Spencer Tracy, though there certainly deserved to be.
But there are a few people. There's Sir General Schwarzkopf, but he's not allowed to use the title because he's American, but he's a knight.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Your German pronunciation of Schwarzkopf didn't make him sound very American, in fact. Could Bob Hope, by the way, be... He was born in England.
Oh, yes. Well, yes. I don't suppose he's been paying any taxes, has he, in England?
I think they made a lot of money off of him there, though. I asked him once, since you were born in England, people forget that. When you hear God Save the Queen, does some part of you still rise? And I didn't mean to word it that way. And he came right out of the chair. He said, hey, I'm going to use that over there. You maintain, along with your friend Marlon Brando, that all people are good actors if they just want to be. His way of putting it is, we've acted all our lives. Your mother said, did you pee on the toilet seat? And you say no, and you know you did, and yet you're convincing. And as much as I'm willing to say balderdash to him, I did, because otherwise I could have been the same Stanley Kowalski you were.
I think that's only the reply one gives to people who are absolutely, totally amazed that anyone should spend any part of their life professionally acting. And it's just a rebuttal to that amazement. And if Brando said that, he's quite true, that we're all quite proficient liars, and even if we're not liars, we do actually make ourselves fit in with our environment. I mean, people are very conscious of the clothes they wear, aren't they? I mean, from a very, very early age, I remember being very conscious whether I was wearing the right clothes for school, and still am. These are my clothes I picked to, fit in with yours, and here we are, roughly the same, sort of outfits. And later in the day, when I go jogging or I'm sitting at home on my own, then I'll change the costume to fit in with the activity. Well, isn't that connected with what actors do?
I suppose it is. It probably hasn't occurred to people that when we're caught talking to ourselves on the street, someone hears us and then we pretend we were singing and go dum dum ba bum 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 bum. That's what that's acting.
Or we hail a taxi and it doesn't stop and we pretend we're really scratching our heads.
But still. Then you have to factor into it genius, if you'll look away from me now, as in your case and Mr. Brando's and some others.
It's communication. Acting is communication and persuading the people that you're with that you're who you're pretending to be. And pretend is an awful lot about life. We know what we actually are ourselves, or we think we know, and we just project parts of ourselves and we select. We're always ourselves, but we select, and actually you do that on stage too. It's always Ian McKellen just selecting part of himself and having worked on part of himself to convince the audience that actually he's more like Richard III than he is himself. It's not. It isn't that complicated.
Sure you want to reveal the secrets of acting?
That's as far as
all
I
over
go.
The place doing it. Okay,
morning.
don't tell them the rest. Interesting that Olivier always had a false nose, even in a so-called straight part where he was not playing Shylock or Fagin or some elaborate character makeup.
But people
said it gave him comfort.
Yes, and I think biographers are right when they say that in his private life too he spent a lot of time disguising himself, so you could never quite be sure when you met Larry what he was doing. And I mean, he usually looked like a businessman. That was probably because he was going into the office not to do the accounts, but to be the administrator of the theatre, and he very, very rarely looked like an actor.
First time I saw him, he was walking on 6th Avenue, and I wanted to say to the people around, that's Laurence Olivier. This is maybe your only chance in your life to see him. But he did, as you say, he looked like somebody maybe on his way to Wall Street. Nothing like Hamlet, nothing like Richard III, and nothing like any of the other things I'd seen him in. I can't wait to see you as Richard III. And the onlyest thing that bothers me is how can I overcome my problem of being put off when a play has moved into another time period and then the verse seems to be at odds with the costumery and setting?
Well, I think you should get over that problem, certainly if you come to see me act, because whenever I've done Shakespeare, I've always done it in modern or modernish dress, which is what Shakespeare himself used to do. I mean, when Shakespeare did Julius Caesar, originally, they did it in doublet and hose. David Garrick played King Lear in the 18th century in a full-bosom wig and a frock coat.
They didn't bother with togas? And
no, the idea that anything should be historically accurate was an obsession of the Victorians who got very absorbed in medievalism and all that sort of thing. So we've just reverted to what was always the case, of treating the plays as if they were about our life today as much as they were about the life of the historical period in which they're set. And as for the blank verse somehow belonging to doublet and hose, I don't believe that. The point about blank verse is not that it's old, but that it's very, very speakable and easy to understand and very follows the rhythms of everyday life, even today. So if you see a production, you think, this is wonderful verse speaking, something's gone wrong, I think.
Yeah. However, you do see what I mean, that if a cab driver says, "My love swears that she is made of truth, I do believe her, though I know she lies,"
I'd give him a huge tip.
I mean on the stage in a modern dress production.
Right.
Okay, I'm not going to win this argument. I don't even see it as an argument. Do you know Robert Benchley's brilliant line that closed one question forever? That the plays of Shakespeare were not written by Shakespeare, but by someone else of the same name.
Yes.
Well, now we're into a subject that I had kind of hoped to save for later, but incidentally, this might startle you. The other night, an event at the Waldorf, a lady came up to me and said, "May I just say one thing to you?" And that usually precedes, "Thank you for Katharine Hepburn," so many years ago. She said, "Thank you for your courage in coming out of the closet." And someone next to her looked a little startled and seemed not to have heard of my having come out of the closet. And the closet that I had come out of, I hate to spoil this, was having had depression, and I had talked about it at a convention at Johns Hopkins, and then it got into, I don't know, I went on Good Morning America, People magazine, and so on and so. And whenever a celebrity does confess to this ghastly disease, it saves lives, so it's kind of gratifying to do it. So I guess I like to think of myself as an honorary gay, because I have done a lot of AIDS benefits and so on.
Well, I think the nicest men are, I divide straight men into those who can cope with it and those who can't, and most of my
can
straight
cope
friends,
with it.
Well,
yeah,
don't mind,
Now, tell me precisely how you chose the moment to make this public, since you'd obviously thought about it for years.
I don't know that I had, and that's the rather surprising thing, that it took me until I was 49 to actually complete the process of coming out, which begins, I suppose, from the day you realize that you're gay and start dealing with it. That happened for me when I was about, well, at the age that most people's sexuality is being stirred, pre-teens. And I didn't really see why I needed to tell the media and anybody else who asked. Because all my friends do.
I still don't see the need to, but I can see choosing to.
Well, the need to is that if you don't say, then you're not being honest.
But your life is acting.
Indeed, and that's why I think so many gay men who are in the closet are such good actors professionally. No, if they lie about themselves and aren't capable of talking about themselves and introducing the world to the person that they love, that's not very good either for that relationship or for the individual person. And once having done it yourself, you then, of course, realize the true importance of it for the world at large, which is that just as you coming out as someone who's had depression, I coming out as someone who's gay, gives comfort to people who can't come out, because if they did, they would lose their jobs and they would lose the respect of their colleagues and their families and sometimes be thrown out on their ear from their house.
What I do despise are the people who take it upon themselves to pull others out of the closet. Not really
that isn't the point. No, that's a very unhealthy situation. No, it should be something you do yourself.
Yeah. You know, I was checking you over to see if you were wearing any red. I read, R-A-D, that there's a superstition involving red. Is it too private to reveal?
No, not at all. I believe that...
Oh, no.
When I was... Also, there's red on the tie.
Well, there's a little on the tie, but this is much more dramatic, I must say.
Also, I got red underpants on, but I'm sure you wouldn't have seen it.
How many would well, never mind. Can't let the audience run the show for us. No, I don't think I can go on now. I've never had this happen. I can't take my eyes off. Those are very lovely.
Very elegant.
Excelsior.
Also, I got very, very beautiful feet.
Yes?
And very dainty ankles, if you noticed.
Never had any complaints.
Never any complaints, yes.
And they're paisley socks for those who want to go out and get some just like them. I don't know why that reminds me, but I had a dream about this show, or these shows, that is, it was a collector's item, I think. It's, do you want to hear it? It's, maybe are you good at analyzing things like this? You came on in my dream, sat down, did not remove your shoes, and without saying a word, you erected a card table here, and then another, and then another. As in that act in the circus when a clown gets on a stack of tables and sways. You insisted that I get atop this pile of card tables and do the show from there.
Yes, now how to analyze that? I would think very quickly that quite clearly it represented in your mind my career. A delicate balance. There's no knowing when the whole cardboard structure would collapse. And you were hoping that it would not.
Why would it be your career, not mine? I've been atop a few card tables.
Well, I think that your reputation as an entertainer, as an interviewer, whatever it is steadier than mine as an actor.
Oh, I see. Well, it's very good of you to put
Thank you.
yourself into the precarious position there. Well, if I feel the table slipping at all, I'll certainly be glad to let you know. People around the country are going to get to, in more than New York, are going to get to see you in Camelot. And I think everybody must know that you did it before. So in a lot of ways, you would think it must have been easier this time. And you can think of obvious ways in which it would be. But is there any way in which going back to it was tough or harder than you expected?
Yes, it's a little harder, I think, the second time round, despite the fact that one's technique, etc., there's a much more massive body of technique behind the performance than there was 20 years ago. But one of the most difficult things about the present production is that in the early part of the show, I have to make the audience believe that I'm vulnerable and that I'm not arrogant. And that is very difficult because I played so many kings and princes. I've assumed a kind of almost regal arrogance every time I go on the stage. And that is the most difficult part of the show for me. The first section of the show, which lasts about perhaps 28 minutes. And it takes me, for a time, I get very little response from the audience. They don't laugh at the laugh lines, and then gradually they accept me and forget who I am, I hope. And then it turns into a perfectly normal audience.
Is there any particular technique that you use for getting that sense of vulnerability? Do you know what
Well, I stutter a little. I don't know. Well, you've seen the show and you've seen what I do. I'm not quite sure how I do it, or if indeed I do it. Yeah. Did you think I did it?
Yes, I did. I don't know. Well, certainly. I'd be a fool to say no, wouldn't I?
Well, no, you could say, no, Richard, your natural arrogance came bursting through despite your Orlando costume. That's the most difficult thing, I think, to do.
Yeah. And if all else fails, you can always kick off your shoes and...
Yes.
Feel sorry for your socks or whatever.
No, actually, I was, as I said to your production manager, I said I very rarely watch talk shows, but when I do, I'm very conscious of people's shoes because they always cross their legs like this. Oh, let's try that.
That's right. It seems to be a rule.
And the shoes are always in front of the people.
That's right.
And I become so fascinated by the shoes, and I forget to look at the faces. So I thought I'd try with my socks.
That's right.
But maybe they're attracting more attention now, do you think, than...
I don't know. I like the idea that talk shows
do that.
have become...
Makes a difference.
I just thought of someone tuning in 5 minutes from now and wondering, saying, he really is on the skids. The guy has no...
Maybe you should explain every so often why.
Stuff all over. Every 5 minutes, remind me to point. You're right. You do feel like you have to cross your legs on a talk show, and it does. They have become more shoe business than show business. Well,
very good.
If I could get away with that.
I remember that.
Would you believe we didn't plan any of this stuff backstage? Are all Welshmen able to sing like a lark? It seems to be a national trait, and...
no, they don't all sing like larks, but I know there was a famous Welshman, for instance, who was famous for his music, actually, a man called Ivan Novello, whose full name is Ivan Novello Davis, and he was a Welshman. He couldn't sing a note, but he wrote those musicals that went on forever and ever, you know. It was, I've forgotten what they were called now, but The Dancing Years, and I think he wrote Keep the Home Fires Burning and stuff like that, but he couldn't sing a note. And I remember his telling me once that he did a tour of hospitals during the war, and a piano was, and he played his famous numbers. And in one ward they asked him to sing, and he said, I can't sing, and they refused to believe him. And there was a lady who accompanied him on the tour. She was Welsh too, and he said, Daphne, you sing. And she said, I can't sing either. So they tried to sing, and I didn't believe him. And I said, well, sing for me now. And he said, well, what do you want me to sing? And I said, well, sing The Minstrel Boy to the War Hath Gone or something. And he sang, and it really was the most extraordinary cacophony, I believe the word is. And it really was The Minstrel Boy to the War Hath Gone. I mean, he couldn't do it at all. And I don't understand that.
Oh, he ended up in the musical world. It's
very strange, yes. So he could pick out a tune, but he was tone deaf.
I thought the green valleys of Wales always rang with the natural voices of the...
Oh, yes, for the most part, I think we sing rather better than most people. I don't know whether it's the coal dust in the air or the eternal rain. Yeah. But certainly most Welsh people sing mellifluously.
Yeah. How do you say what looks like Pontrhydyfen?
Pontrhydyfen. Pontrhydyfen.
Pontrhydyfen.
Means the bridge. We have a lot of Latin in our language. It means the bridge across the vale or the valley.
Yeah. And
there is a bridge that crosses my village from mountain to mountain.
And that's the village you were born in?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know why. I had an image of your childhood as being upper class somehow, and been to Oxford, and undoubtedly was to the manor born, if that's the right use of that. And it was anything but that. I wonder how many other people are under the same mistaken...
No, I had a very happy childhood. We were pretty poor. Yeah. It was during the Depression. My father was a miner, and all my brothers except one, my younger brother, were miners. And they all got out of the mines, except the very oldest one, who loved the mines so much that I couldn't bribe him out. I couldn't get him. There was no way I could get him out. And he stayed in until the bitter end. So that he died. He died last year. No, he died this year, actually, about 5 or 6 months ago. And you can imagine how tough the constitution of the family is, that with his lungs full of dust, he lived until he was 79. And he was very angry because he didn't make 80. Oh. But to have lived that long and to have worked, he went down the mines when he was 13 years old, and he came up when he was 65.
And he died of the lung ailment from...
Yes, pneumoconiosis.
Yeah. You weren't being sarcastic when you said he loved the mines.
You really
I didn't know anyone loved to...
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
My father, who was apparently a great miner, is in the days before mechanization and so on, when you got the great seam, there's a great seam, a famous seam, a world-famous one, which I believe is called the Great Atlantic Fault. And it starts in northern Spain, in the Basque country. And it goes under the Bay of Biscay, and it comes up in South Wales, and it goes under the Atlantic, and comes up in Pennsylvania. So that if you took a Basque miner or a Welsh miner or a Pennsylvania miner, and if you could blindfold them and transport them, and they know the coal face the minute they saw it, I believe it's 4 feet 6 inches. And my father used to talk about it as some men will talk about women, talk about the beauty of this coal face. And my brothers would tell me stories about my father, who would look at the seam. My father's a very short man, an ideal height for a miner. He was about 5 feet 3 or 4, very, very powerful, of course. And he would look at the seam of coal, and he would, as it were, almost surgically make a mark on it, and then ask his boy. Every miner has a boy who works for him, and he would say, "Give me the number 2 mandrill." That's a half-headed pick. And then, having stared at this gorgeous display of black, shining ribbon of coal, he would then hit it with one enormous blow. And if he hit it right, something like 20 tons of coal would fall out from the coal face.
Really?
So that it was thrilling, it was exciting. And indeed, that's why I think when you perhaps think of me as being born with a silver spoon and so on, miners believed themselves, or believed themselves anyway, to be the aristocrats of the working class. They felt superior to all other kinds of manual laborers. They were skilled workers. That coalface was a magical creature.
Has that all been replaced now by mechanized?
Yes, you drill things now and you
lost some
cut
of the
out
romance.
lumps of years.
That's what your father would probably be against that.
Yeah, well, he wouldn't say that. He'd say they're not miners at all now. They're just
Machines do the work.
machines do
Yeah.
the work. Yes.
Yeah. Did you have a fear of the mines? What I'm trying to say is, did you see yourself as that was something to escape, to get out into another world?
No, not at all, no. The opposite, as a matter of fact. Everybody's ambition, every little boy's ambition in my valley was to become a miner, because there was the arrogant strut of the lords of the coalface. They had these muscular buttocks and the bow legs, and they walked with a kind of arrogance, and everybody wanted to be like a miner. Wanted to stand on street corners and look at the posh people pass with hostile eyes, and insult the girls from the doctor's daughter, the lawyer's daughter, the preacher's daughter as they passed, and insult them with these cold looks because they were the kings of the underworld.
They looked down on people from below, in a sense, didn't they?
Absolutely. You are clever.
Oh, yes.
You invert things so beautifully.
You'll notice that more and more as we go along. How are you?
Absolutely marvelous. Thank you very much.
Good, I'm glad to know that. My problem is knowing what to call you, and I've been worrying about this and tossing in my sleep, and I know the various titles are confusing to an American. How can we handle it?
Me too. If you'd call me Larry and I could call you Dick, it's better. Much better.
You want me to call you Larry?
Yes.
That won't be easy, but I will
Yes,
try.
it's much the best. Thank you.
I've always thought Sir Richard would be rather nice on my part, but I suppose that's asking a bit much.
Oh, I'll fix it. It's perfectly all right.
Okay. I had heard that you resisted somewhat the idea of being made a lord.
Yes.
Can you explain that, and
Yes.
if they in fact ask you if you want to be one? That surprised me.
Yes, yes. They did. And I felt a bit uncomfortable about it. I felt that it would, as it were, in the mind and eye of the public and of my profession, put me sort of, as it were, a little out of touch or something silly like that. And I didn't want to look strange or feel that people regarded me in a strange way as being anything apart from either the man in the street or from everybody in my profession. And so I resisted it for a long time, and not very long, I mean 2 or 3 years, something like that. And also there was something about the title itself that worried me slightly. I thought that Sir Richard or Sir anything else like that was rather nicely romantic and seemed chivalrous and gallant and all sorts of nice things like that. And I thought that Lord, apart from the awkward thing about footmen and people saying "my lord" this and that, it sounded funny to me and made me feel a little bit self-conscious, and also had a slight aura of the New Testament in which I find myself most grossly miscast. And so I found it rather difficult. And then I said, could you, if you're very sweet and want to give me anything, can you give me anything? I mean, anything at all. 3 letters after, anything. I'd love anything, but not that. And they said, well, that's fine. But you mustn't forget whatever else we gave you would do nobody any good but yourself. And if we make you a member of the House of Lords, which is only like being made an honorary senator, as it were, you can do some good for other people. You can plead some causes you might feel strongly about. You can get up and we want you to have a forum. We want your profession to have a forum. Well, that line of talk put an entirely different complexion on it for me. And so ultimately I thought, well, thanks very much. So I said yes.
I'm glad you took it. Do you find that people do, though, have a moment of stammering when they meet you and not know which title to call you by?
Not here, and certainly not in this country.
Yeah.
No. Most people call me Larry.
Does anyone call you Sir Larry?
Yes, a lot of people do. I rather like that. It makes me feel popular. And, I like it. I couldn't have them in the theatre call me Lord or anything. I mean, that wouldn't be possible, because it's all very well when somebody knocks at your dressing room door and says, "Your call, Sir Laurence, but your lordship's call is a bit different." And so we don't allow it in the theatre, and we don't allow it in the office. We don't allow it among anybody who has ever met me before, as a matter of fact. And I think the American habit of Christian names is very good and very charming and very healthy and splendid.
First names.
And that's what I like. Yes, that's what I like.
Okay. I have to ask you this. Is this your own nose? It is?
Yes.
Do you know why I ask? For years, they have always said you've never played a role with the same nose, to the point where no one, except those who knew in your private life, knew what your real nose looked like. And
No.
they've all been so convincing on the screen, all the noses I've seen you with, that I just thought I'd be sure that this was,
Yes, yes, there's nothing added to
the
this.
Olivier nose.
Yes, this is my nose.
Okay. We were talking about the title being something that gave dignity, in a way, to the acting profession, at least it's been spoken of that way. And it's strange to think that there was a time when actors were the lowest form of society, in this country, even.
Rogues and vagabonds.
That's right.
Up until I think about 1880.
Are they respectable enough now?
Oh, yes, they're about the most respectable people there are now.
And isn't there still one hotel in London that won't accept actors? I've been told there is. I think it's the Ritz. I may be wrong.
I don't
may be
think
slandering
so.
the hotel.
No, I don't think so. I think there's one in Newcastle.
Oh. After the show, we'll go down there and take care of that. People assume you're descended from actors sometimes, that you come from a royal family of actors.
No,
not the case.
Not one actor at all.
I saw an interview once in a New York paper, and you said your father was not an actor, but a person. And I realized later that was a typographical error.
Yes, it was.
Did you see that? It was said?
He was a parson.
A parson.
He was a person too, but he was a parson.
I'm glad.
I believe the word parson comes from person, actually. I think it means the person of the village, or something like that.
But that's supposed to be a profession that would be shocked if its son wanted to go into anything as wicked as the theater.
Yeah, not in my case. My father encouraged me to go into the theater. He was a very broad-minded parson. He was a very high Anglican, which I think you would say in America's high Episcopalian, I think. Mm-hmm. And we used to say that he was so high he was nearly turned, which means he was nearly a Roman Catholic. He was so high. Not quite. Mm-hmm. He was married, funnily enough. He had 2 other children beside me. And he was very broad-minded. He loved the theater. My mother loved the theater. And I don't think that people's gifts are necessarily inherited gifts. I think people mostly think that if a person is a very gifted person, it most likely misses the next generation and may light on the generation after that. But I think I've got a notion that a talent is probably the result of an inherited wish, a wish to be something. My wife whose name is Joan Plowright, whom we've seen in America.
I know.
She's, I think, a marvelous actress. And I think that her parents, or possibly her grandparents, she has absolutely no theatrical tradition in her family, whatever, beyond that her mother was an extremely gifted amateur actress. Now, she had a great wish, obviously, to be an actress. My father was an extremely dramatic preacher. My mother was a very, very, very funny mimic. And there was a wish there. And so maybe I'm the lucky recipient of all those wishes, and so is my wife, I think. I don't think that it's inherited in a normal way. I think it's inherited obliquely, reflectively, from somebody's wish to be something. And eventually, it gets picked up in the blood somewhere around.
And if it is inherited, it would be more than one generation away, you'd feel, probably. So.
I think so, though God knows there are many, many, many exceptions to that rule.
Do any of your children show signs of wanting to be parsons, for example?
No, not that you'd notice it.
Not yet. You seem like an athlete. I had lunch with you the other day, and your presence is very animated, and I was trying to think what it reminded me of. And in the line of this work, I've interviewed a lot of athletes, and there's a kind of physical energy about them that you have. Do you work out?
Go,
do you?
Yes, I go to a gym at least twice a week, and I ride with my children every weekend. I keep as fit as I can. I think that acting is very much responsive to being fit. I think the most important attribute of an actor, of all the attributes, even including talent, is stamina. And I think that your energy, and it's all energy, isn't it? And your resilience and your lasting quality, if you have an enormous part, you have to be able to see it to the end. And you must be very fit for that, as you must in anything in life, really. If you're a player, a gamester of any sort, boxer, rider, anything at all, you must be extremely fit to have the stamina to go through to the end. And a big part, Macbeth, or God Save Us in Othello, requires an enormous amount of training, I think. I trained for about 6 months in order to get 5 extra notes into the bass part of my voice.
That's incredible. What does that actually mean? You managed to lower your God-given voice to something lower than it?
By sheer determination, really. I had a teacher helping me all the time. You wouldn't know it now because I can't do it anymore, but I could get it back again if I tried hard for a few weeks.
It's changed back up to where it was?
Yes, it's gone back to normal now.
Do you know what your lowest note is?
Yes, it was. A normal low note is D, and I got it down to A, which is 5 notes.
How does D sound? Can you do D?
No, I can't. No, I can't.
But were you a trained singer before that?
I was, but I've never had perfect pitch. I'm sorry. Wish I had.
Oh, don't be sorry. I don't have it either. Well, I know that you played Catherine in Taming of the Shrew at age, was it age 15?
Yes.
How would you play that differently today?
I'd play it a little older, that's all.
How did that come about? I gather you were in all boys school.
I was in a choir school when I was young, which is not strange, considering my father was a parson and my mother was deeply religious. They sent my brother and me. My brother was 2.5 years older than me. His name was Dick. And I'm not saying comparing the ages. I'm only saying his name was the same as yours. And he and I were singers. And that gave us a sort of feeling for sound, at least, and music, of course. And at that particular little school, they were very highly skilled at training us little infants, who were only 14 of us, how to act. We had a very gifted precentor, it's called in England. I don't know what it's called in the Episcopal Church. It means the next man after the vicar. There were a very fashionable church, and about 5 parsons in the staff of this church. And one of them was the schoolmaster, but this chap wasn't. He was a very artistic man, and could have been a great actor himself, I think, a wonderful actor. And very brilliantly artistic, painted all the scenery, taught us all how to act, very handsome, beautiful voice, and a wonderful preacher, extremely effective, theatrical, marvelously effective preacher, and had a great following in the church. And he could have been, I think, without any question, an actor at the drop of his hat. And he taught us a very great deal. He taught me the love of it, I suppose, when I was very young. I started acting at this school when I was about 10. My first part was Brutus. and then went on through various girls' parts. I don't know why, but I did, and played Maria, and then I played Catherine. And after I'd left this private school, this choir school, and been to what we call in England, mistakenly entirely, a public school, I was asked to come back, and we were invited to play, this production at Stratford-on-Avon for Shakespeare's birthday on a special matinee. This was Friday, the 23rd of April in 1922. And it was in the old theatre at Stratford before it was burnt down. And that's what happened. That was the start. That's why you can say I've been on the stage 50 years. I haven't really. I've only been on the stage 45 years. I've been a juvenile for 45 years.
I see. And that was where the legend is, anyway, that the great Ellen Terry spotted you, I think, playing Brutus, and said the boy who plays Brutus will...
Something like that.
Will someday be on the Dick Cavett show or something.
Yes, that's it.
To that effect.
I notice everybody's been very funny. I can't be funny tonight because I haven't slept for 5 days.
Oh.
Now, when a man says, I haven't slept for 5 days, if I hadn't slept for 5 days, I wouldn't be able to touch my nose with my finger or any of those tests they give you to see if you're sober. Are you serious?
Yeah, and I'm going to smoke because I didn't smoke for 7 years. It's true.
No, wait. You're not going to have this first cigarette in 7 years.
No, but I just did a movie in which the man chain smokes, and in the play I'm in, the man chain smokes, and so I stopped for 7 years. I was just interested in what Jack was saying. Yeah. So I'm now, you said 2 packs a day, it's 4 after 7 years. Oh. Also, you were saying about your hair. I just did this movie. This is 6 weeks growth. I was shaved completely right round there. Probably in the lights you can pick it out. There's a circle, so, you know.
Yeah, but you knew it was going to grow back. It's a big difference.
I wanted to provide you with the feed because I know how bad it is to try and plug a picture. And you look very good, you know, with it back there. Anyway.
Yeah. But they shaved your head. Now,
Yes.
is it or is it not true, this story? You'd know.
Well, I can prove it.
No, I mean that Alec Guinness, they say, had his head shaved for a role some years back, and it never did come back.
Well, the only ironic thing about it is that the director, Richard Attenborough, of this film I've been making about Churchill, did a picture called Rillington Place, the famous murderer,
10
Christie.
Rillington Place, yeah.
He refused to have his hair shaved under his doctor's orders. So I had a little meeting with him one day in Madrid, and he said, how do you feel about having your head shaved? And I said, well, I mean, if it's necessary for the role, I'll do it. Little did I know how I was being conned into that by the very same person who did not have his head shaved, but now, you see, he was the director.
So Attenborough would shave a man's head without shaving his own.
That's right. That's the way they are.
But it's coming back nicely. Say, I got to ask you something. I saw you on stage, I've mentioned this before, but I never asked you this question. I saw you in the other Pinter play with Donald Pleasance.
Yes, the caretaker.
The caretaker, yeah. And you had this scene that just gave the audience goose pimples. It was kind of a monologue, and you did it face front to the audience. And it seemed like you had a lobotomy, a brain operation. At least you played it that way, and there was some line in it about...
the pincers, it says the word pincers.
The
But in
pincers
fact,
had
he
been on
had
my head or
electric
something.
shock treatment. He didn't have a lobotomy. There's a slight confusion there. But anyway,
How do you play the difference between a lobotomy and a...
straight out front.
Yeah.
Straight out front, and you just... the interesting technical thing about that, actually, because when we were making the film, which we made for the large sum of £18,000, I can't think what that is in dollars, it ain't too much, and none of us got any money. I have 15% of the gross.
Which is
And we
what?
have never received anything. Well, 15% of the gross, you never get a percentage of the gross, do you, Jack? Never.
Yeah.
And to this day, that film is still in the red. We have to send them money here in America for the publicity, for the advertising.
Yeah. And yet everybody who has seen it has said, you've got to see this film.
But that's the intelligent minority.
Oh.
That's what...
Do you know...
Sorry.
I was gonna say, do you know anyone who's...
That's not the unseen majority, or whatever you call it here, the silent majority. It ain't. The only
Yeah.
people I ever get appreciated by is the articulate minority.
Oh, is
if that
that
makes
so?
sense,
Is
yeah.
that so? Do you know anybody who's had a lobotomy ever?
Oh, I know many.
It's kind of passé, isn't it? Removing a piece of the brain.
Yeah, well, it used to be
know?
a terrible experiment. Doctors used to like to do that. They don't do it too often. I mean, you know, medical history is pretty horrific, isn't it? They pass through phases when they give you lobotomies or too many pills or this or that because they don't know too much about it, I suppose. But they're advancing.
I know a story of a man who was a writer. A man on my staff knows him, and he had terrible violent attacks. And I mean, he became violent. And this was some years back, and he got a doctor to give him a lobotomy, but the doctor warned that he might lose his skill as a writer. And he had the operation, and he did lose his skill as a writer, but not the violent attacks. So he lost the one and not the other.
I know that fellow well, yeah, and there's plenty of them about. And actually, myself, to be honest, I believe that writers, artists, anybody like that should stick with their neuroses because I think it's part of their drive, roughly speaking. I know any psychiatrist would hate to, hear that, but personally, my complexes, my guilts, my violence, everything like that, are just what, makes me any good at all.
But so. Jack's been through analysis, and he's still good.
Through, don't say, when you say through analysis, it means like I finished or completed. You never complete it.
Oh.
They see to that. I'm beginning. And I'm beginning, and I agree. Not that so much. If your neuroses do not prevent you from expressing how you feel and your doubts, as I believe Philip Roth was able to do in Portnoy's Complaint, as I believe that whatever Bob has done, I did Man in the Glass Booth, and I had the greatest time of my life, that if his neuroses have allowed him also to function, you can't do better than that. That's the best you can do. Function. If you're not functioning, then maybe you can go and do analysis.
That's right.
But if your arm became paralyzed for reasons that they told you were psychic...
Well, I mean, the difference between physical disease and mental disease is a hair's breadth, isn't it? And sometimes it's all mixed up in it. We can't, as amateurs or whatever you would call it, really talk very seriously about that. But very often you cannot tell which is which. Sometimes, in fact, people seem to be mentally ill. They're not at all. They're physically ill, if the doctor can find that out, and vice versa.
Is there a word somatopsychic that's the opposite of psychosomatic?
Yes. You just made it.
Oh. He's doing these two plays. Give us a little clue as to the plot of the one you said was about violence and various...
Oh, well, my play in London is about... In 1819 in England, 10 people tried to murder the whole of the British cabinet. Murder them. Like murdering the whole of the, And what they didn't know was that the leading conspirator was a government agent, shall we say a CIA man. He gave them all the money, all the grenades. They couldn't figure out how you murder the whole of the British cabinet at once. So they put an announcement in our famous newspaper, The Times, that there was going to be a dinner held by the whole of the British cabinet. There was no such dinner. All the poor fellows went along there. They were all arrested, and every one of them was hung, drawn, and quartered. That's what the play is about. Vanessa Redgrave is playing the leading conspirators there.
The agent lured them into that, too.
45 actors I've got in that cast. So one day, I went from seeing the first run-through of my own playwright with 45 actors. Then I go to, as an actor now, to Harold Pinter's play, Old Times, in which there are only 3 of us, in which I play a man who gets drunk and is worried about the relationship of his wife and her best friend. Then in the evening, this is why I'm so tired, because I haven't slept for 5 days with that damn strike at London Airport. In the evening, I had to go to Shepperton Studios and finish off little bits of Lord Randolph Churchill.
Oh, how do you know?
Listen, I'm not asking for pity, because I know businessmen have to do this and all sorts of other people have to work very hard, but that's actually what's been happening the last week.
I don't know which is worse in the acting profession, to have no work or 3 things at once like that.
It's always paradoxically bad either way. When you're working, it's terrible because you're usually doing rubbish, and when you're not working, it's worse.
And then if you're trapped in a play on top of that with somebody you can't stand, has this ever happened to you? Have you ever had to go on?
Many times, yeah. I always pretend that they're my children. You know I got 9 children.
Yeah.
I always pretend it's my favorite son or daughter, depending upon the sex of the person opposite me.
Well, isn't it kind of embarrassing if they're 50 years old and you pinch their cheek? Or something?
No, you just look at them as if you like them, like I am you now. You see, you just look and you smile away. All you have to do.
What have I done?
Well, that's what I mean. I've played a lot of tricks like that. There's one famous actor I know, but I'm not going to mention because Robert Morley once said to me, you can say anything about actors you like in private, but there's a limit to what you say in public, and I've stopped that.
Well, tell us about the one you don't want to mention and what a rat he is.
Well, I just pretended he was my eldest son, that's all. So every time I look at him in the picture, I'm smiling away, and it's charming.
Has there ever been someone who couldn't stand you and you knew it and you didn't know why they couldn't stand you?
Frequently. I know within 2 seconds now if a woman likes me or not. If they like you, they laugh at your jokes. If they don't like you, they never do. That's my absolute test. You laughed, you like me, that's okay.
Yeah.
I always know.
And so that's true, I think, to a great extent.
What if
My wife must hate me. She never laughs at me.
You just realized that not once
Well,
has
I
she
mean,
ever...
if the theory is
That's the
right.
test.
My wife laughs all the time.
Well, couldn't you have a humorless woman who loved you? And if you did, then you'd never know.
I suppose it'd be a great relief.
How are your apples?
Well, I've moved.
That's an old American expression.
Yeah.
No, you have an apple orchard, I know.
Yes,
You did.
Richard once came to dinner with me in England at my house, and I loved gardens, so we planted 3,500 apple trees. But I've left England, and I now live in Ireland. And right on the west coast, you can't see another single house from where we live, and we're 75 acres there. Because I have
nice.
to retreat from these American television raids and, coming into cities. I've grown to hate cities, to be serious. And there you can't see anything, and it's the last unspoiled coastline in Europe. We have this house where there's a lake, and they caught a 16-pound trout, brown trout, there, unpolluted, on Sunday. And there's 50 miles of this lake goes as far as, you can't, on a misty day, you can't see the mountains, and you cannot see another single house, and the drive is 1 mile.
Sounds, and in Ireland besides. But you have to kill yourself doing 2 movies and 2 plays
To afford
constantly
it.
to pay for that.
Right.
And you're not there now.
No, I'm not there now. There's 3 Irish fellows, helpfully and hopefully they're not members of the IRA because I'm a perfect hostage. I mean, I am English and
right.
maybe they've burned it up right now for all I know, but I hope not. Anyway,
Don't
we
give
should
them
get out
ideas.
of Ireland, by the way.
You English should get out of
I
Ireland.
think we should get out of Ireland.
Well,
I hate to side with one of the Kennedys, but, he caused a great stir
right.
in England. And,
yeah, they
they hate, but they won't listen.
Very nice to see you. I know how you must hate this. The first thing that's on my mind, and forgive me for opening with this, let me get it out of the way, is that there was an incident some years back where you appeared on a talk show, quite briefly. To give the news slowly, you came out, said a couple of words, and presumably passed out.
Yes, it was in New York.
Yeah.
And
Was it the
I
man's-
can't remember the gentleman's name.
The host, is he still in the business?
I truly don't know.
I could tell.
Talk about butterflies. I've got armor-clad bats.
That will all pass.
I went onto the show, and I was asked a question, which I answered, I think. I don't know what I said. I don't know what I'm saying now. And I was asked another question, which I believe I answered, and I woke up in a dressing room. My glasses were broken, and I was replaced by a talking dog.
Lucky they had one there.
There isn't a dog under here.
No. Can keep the dog quiet. But how do you explain that? What was it? Was it an actual feint, or?
Oh, well, I tried to pretend it was compounded with a flight I'd made from Japan, which is that curious thing where one leaves Tokyo on Monday and arrives in Los Angeles on Sunday. But in fact, what it is, I suppose, shyness, nerves. and I suppose that shyness and nerves are in fact the ultimate in vanity. Because if one is shy, it assumes that someone is looking and listening and caring and giving a damn. But in fact, probably nobody is either looking or listening or caring or giving a damn.
That's a very good way to think of it.
Yes. It's best illustrated by a very eminent English theatrical producer who was pathologically shy. And he would refuse to go to any parties. He was invited to a country house, a rather grand country house, and all his friends persuaded him to go. And he finally went, and during dinner did all the wrong things. He passed the salt and dropped it into the soup, and taken to bed that night, he hadn't got the nerve to ask the butler where the lavatory was.
The bathroom, we say here.
The bathroom. Well, it wasn't a bath he needed, actually.
No.
And
it wasn't to lave himself either.
no. And during the course of the night, he wanted to go to the bathroom, and not knowing where it was, he didn't even know where the light switch was. And so he was stumbling around, and he knocked over what he assumed was a carafe of water. And, oh dear, done it again. And went pootering down the hall, trying to find a light switch. He found the light switch, switched it on, and all over a 17th century fresco were inky hands. He'd knocked over an inkwell. So he went back into his bedroom, packed a bag at 3 o'clock in the morning, and left. And then his friend said, you must go back and explain this. It can happen to anybody. And he's a very reasonable man, and he'll understand. It was about 3 months later, he did, in fact, go back to the country house and knocked on the door. And there was that formidable butler again. And he said, can I see Colonel Breech-Loading Staircase, whatever his name was. And he said, yes, sir, do go into the gun room. So he went into the gun room, and there was a large chair, and he lowered himself into the large chair, and on the large chair was a poodle, which he sat on and killed. So he left again. And the poor colonel arrived to find a mangled poodle and no explanations.
And that's how you feel tonight?
That's how I feel.
All right, see.
There isn't a poodle on this chair.
Well, I was going to say something.
Yeah.
Oh, that's terrifying. We're just talking about nerves. This interests me. It happens over and over that someone you've seen dazzling on the screen, presumably able to play anything, comes here and feels a terrible nervousness that's very hard to explain. Could you play a calm person at a time when you're terrified? You know what I'm saying? I mean, can you suppose you are very worried about doing an interview, so you decide to act calm even though you're nervous. Do you then get that wonderful control over yourself that the actor gets when he plays a role, or doesn't that work? Or am I talking about anything?
I think you're watching it now, actually.
You know what I mean?
Act calm, yes. Well, I mean, certainly I can hide behind a very good scriptwriter and a very good play and a very good character who is calm. But now I'm currently being the character and the scriptwriter, which isn't all that easy.
No.
No.
You were an altar boy once. I find that odd. Well, I don't actually know what an altar boy does or did, but...
Prompts nervous priests.
Is that it?
If he gets into the wrong,
yeah.
ceremony or whatever, or
Yeah,
ritual.
yes, I can recall a very close friend of mine who is a priest. And I'd forgotten to bring the bell at the raising of the host, which is the holiest part of the Catholic Mass. And as he raised the host for the Sanctus, 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 there was no bell to ring, and you have to ring it 3 times. So I went ting-a-ling-a-ling.
Oh, it's right. That's eager.
I thought it was
Actually, it's a.
extreme initiative.
If you're going to go something, I guess ting-a-ling-a-ling is the best thing to say.
The holiest part of the transubstantiation, I could see a priest with his shoulders shaking.
He was amused.
Oh, indeed,
That's
yeah.
lucky. The wrong priest, you could have been ejected
yeah.
from the church for that, I suppose. Your new film has to do somewhat with religion, in strange ways. It's a very unusual film. I don't suppose there's any way you can explain to people who haven't seen it what they're in for. By the way, we didn't mention the name of the film, which is The Ruling Class. I wonder if people seeing that little bit that they saw know what to make of it, whether it's... what would you call the film if you had to put it? Somebody says, say, what's this new film you've done? Is it comic, tragic, pastoral?
Yeah.
Polonius. Historical?
Well, I've been asked, obviously, many times, what I'm sure I had a very good reason when I did it. What can I say? The thing that made me want to do it first was I was lying in bed reading it, and I kept on falling out of bed laughing. It's an hilarious script, and I've seen audiences falling about, not out of bed, we don't supply beds, but laughing. And then I read a little more, and I was deeply disturbed. Deeply disturbed. Unquiet. And I read back to say, did I really see that? And indeed I did. And then I read on, and before I could get into my role of being deeply disturbed, suddenly I fell out of bed again. I was laughing again. And I did this classical error of trying to categorize it. And I out Polonius. Tragical, comical, historical, philosophical, farcical, epistemological, and I did 7 cerebral somersaults and wound up on my metaphorical arse. And well, it is I've said a comedy with tragic relief.
Yes. Yes.
And it does not do what it's told. It simply does not do what it's told. And I find increasingly that we, forgive me if I include you, ladies and gentlemen, we are increasingly told what to do, how to behave. We have an etiquette of what to feel given certain situations. We're becoming squashed. There's an aeroplane firm which advertises itself as the Earth Shrinker. Priestley, J.B. Priestley, loves the word shrinker, shrink, shrink, shrink. We're being shrunken. We're made to conform. We're having the sap, the living, quick, crushed out of us. And ruling class, in fact, and as in life, it's reflected, I think, in cinema and theatre as well. If you make a comedy, it has to be a small little comedy and be funny. If you make an epic, it has to be long, involving a cast of thousands. If you make an experimental film, it has to cost very little, with some poor sod with a handheld camera and 2 people who are paid nothing. If it has to be a musical, everything grinds to a halt while someone stands up and grinds out a number. Well, as my friend James Coco, do you know James Coco?
Yeah.
who is from the Bronx would say, "What is all this? Do the lot." And in fact, in ruling class, what am I talking about? I just come bored with small, tiny, explicit things that explain us. I want scale, I want imagination, I want mystery, and above all, I want humor. And this is what attracted me to the ruling class.
Hey, and you'll get all that from me. That's very, very well said. I can see that. You have to see the film to understand it. There's no, to get any idea. I've never seen a film quite like it. I've never seen anybody play madness on the screen as thoroughly and completely and chillingly as you do in some parts of this film. So convincingly that I don't quite know how to compliment you on it.
Nice to see you, Sir Noël. And if I don't say Sir Noël, please reprimand me sharply when...
I will.
Oh, wait. Hadn't expected that. You were knighted, I said a week ago. Is it more recent than that? Is it longer ago than that, or was it...
It was a little further back than that.
Yes, I don't know why.
I get muddled, with all these honors.
Do you? There's a rumor that you, in a sense, turned down knighthood or scoffed at it about 35 years ago.
I never scoffed at it, but I did turn it down because it was offered to me, I thought, for the wrong reason. It was because I'd just done what everybody insisted was a very patriotic play called Cavalcade.
Yes.
And I didn't think that was quite the moment. I thought better wait until age etches those fascinating lines and have it a bit later on.
I see, and so you waited. Is there anything that you can do now as a knight that you were not able to do before?
No, there are lots of things that I can't do now as a knight that I could do before.
I hope you won't feel too limited, though. I think that it would be very hard to accept the honor of being a knight. I think I would probably wear armor if I were given such an honor. And
it would be very uncomfortable.
I assume so.
No, I don't think armor's the thing. That went out, some time ago.
I seem to remember that. You have been feted, if that's the word. F-E-T-E-D.
Fated.
Fated, I'm sorry. Feted has quite a different meaning, doesn't it?
It certainly has.
This show may be very near an end at this moment if I don't get my pronunciations correct. Yeah, but I think it was on your 70th birthday. There were weeks, it seemed like, of honors in England for you, or maybe it was all concentrated into 1 week, but stories kept coming over here.
No, it went on for quite a while. Mm-hmm. Lovely. Exhausting, but lovely.
It was exhausting.
Yeah.
Do you find that, I know you were interviewed by almost every publication over there. Was it hard to keep coming up with things to say that were fresh and new?
Well, that's never been one of my major problems. Mm-hmm. But I did get a little tired of answering the ordinary questions.
Yes.
Because sometimes they were so awfully alike.
I'll try to avoid as many pitfalls as I can.
That was just a warning.
I think... I find that you are one of those people whose name, I cannot imagine it being anything but Noël Coward. You seem to fit your name. I hope this isn't too silly a comment, but it occurred to me as I was standing backstage, do you have a middle name? And I asked someone suddenly, and they said, I assume not. Is that a fair question?
Unfortunately, it's a perfectly fair question, and I regret to say I shall have to answer it.
There is?
My mother had a friend called Jessie Pierce, and for some reason best known to herself, my middle name is Pierce. But in order to take the horror of it away a bit, it's P-E-I-R-C-E. So we don't use it.
Oh, probably just as well. You're what is the word for when one has terrific, prolific qualities?
Talent.
Yeah. Your talent. It's those long words that I stumble on.
Has there ever been a time in all of these years, when you look back at a list of all the things you've done, it's just staggering, the number of songs alone, let alone the plays, the movies, all of the other things. Has there ever been a time when the Coward well seemed to be running dry, where you thought, maybe I can't?
Frankly, no.
No.
Not really. There have been a few fallow periods, but then the great thing is that I've always done, all my life, when I think that I've been over-writing or overacting, which is a rare occurrence, I go away to the other side of the world for about 9 months. That is the usual gestation period, you know.
Yes.
And then I come back refreshed, I think.
You come back great with play, do you? Do you mind people completing your metaphors? I don't mean to jump in.
I didn't know that was a metaphor.
Oh, well. I'm going to keep moving very quickly here. I was stunned to read that In Which We Serve, the great film that, about which Alexander Wolcott said, if you had never done anything else in your life, you would be richly famous. I was reading about that, and there was a time in that film where you almost didn't survive the making of the film. Could you tell that story? Do you know the incident I'm referring to?
When I was nearly drowned, you mean?
Yes.
Well, it was great fun, that was. But it was quite simple. It's not a very interesting story, but we did all the sea stuff in a tank in the studio. But for certain shots, we had to go outside the studio into a real large tank. And I had to stand on the bridge, which was only just a bit of a bridge showing, and go over into the water with the bridge on top of me. Yeah. That was a bit tricky, but I fought my way free just in time.
Did your life flash before your eyes and think, I may never get to do the Dick Cavett show, or anything like that at that moment?
Well, you know, I thought I might do the Dick Cavett show, and so it sort of brought me up to the surface.
That's all the epitaph I want. Have you ever hated an audience?
Very, very often indeed.
Have you?
Yes.
Often people in the theater say there is no such thing as a bad audience, and the people who had the most experience say that. I'm interested in that.
Well, they vary. Generally with the days of the week. Monday's a bit of a beast, as a rule. Tuesday cheers up a bit. Wednesday matinee dicey. Wednesday night warmer. Thursday, as a rule, good. Friday the best. Saturday matinee, terrible. Saturday night, either marvelous or ghastly.
Wonder why that is on Saturday night.
Well, because I don't know, there are a lot of out-of-town people in, and they are not quite sure when they're expected to laugh. I'd try to make it clear.
Is your friendship with the Luntz, can you remember the actual meeting when you first laid eyes on the Luntz?
Well, I didn't exactly lay eyes on the Luntz. But I did know Linny many years ago when she was playing at the Royalty Theatre in London. We used to meet at a splendid little joint called the Ham and Bone Club. That was way back. That was 1917 about. Alfred I didn't meet until 1921, when I came to America for the first time, when he was already engaged to Lynn. I say engaged, but it was very lovely because I'd never seen him before, and we all three became absolutely devoted to each other and decided that when the day dawned, and we knew it was going to, when we were all three stars in our own right, that I would write a play for the three of us. And the result of all that was Design for Living.